And we're live. What's up, everyone? It's great to see you again. I hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. It feels like a Friday, though. Feels a little bit like a Friday, guys. Thursday's a new Friday. We have got another episode of Duh coming to you live from multiple countries here. We got New York in the house. Hey, Jorge, give us a hey. We got Canada in the house. Jaja, what's good?
So much holding it down.
Holding it down in the Couve. Everyone knows that's what the cool kids called Vancouver, the Couve.
It's
And
true.
then, most importantly, we've got the one, the only Sai from Community Labs chiming in from India. And Sai, what's happening, man? How you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me here. Doing good. And yeah, things are going great.
Awesome, dude. Well, it's a pleasure to have you. I've been meaning to touch base with you for a while because you're working on some of the coolest projects in the ecosystem. I'm going to get into them more in later on in more detail. But first, would you mind kind of giving everyone who's watching, who are you? Let's do the Psy journey. Like how did you get involved in the computering? That's my technical term for computer sciences. How did you get involved into Web3? And then how did you kind of make your way into the AO Arweave ecosystem?
All right. So this goes back when I was in high school. I was always curious about technology, and I was just teaching myself some basic stuff, web development and things, nothing complicated or back-end-ish, more on the front-end side. And then I heard about Bitcoin, and that's how I further got more introduced, like all the blockchain stuff and cryptocurrency use case of it. So cryptocurrency was like, first use case I came across, and that kind of sparked curiosity for me to dive deeper. But I did not get into development just back then. It was mostly around learning how cryptocurrencies operated and how I can get my hands on them, what exchanges, what wallets to use. So that kind of gave me an overview of custodial and non-custodial terms, what it's like to have ownership of your wallets and stuff. But then fast forward, evolution of like much more sophisticated blockchains that could also do compute, like Ethereum, and then we have storage for Arweave. It kind of blew my mind, like going from cryptocurrencies to supporting other use cases like building full-fledged DeFi solutions, like with ownership and censorship resistance at core. Uh, I mean, yeah, possibilities are like limitless with that kind of approach. And moving forward in my developer journey, I kind of started off as Web2 engineer on the front end side. And then as I kind of got deeper, and then I started to teach myself more blockchain technology. It's more like uh, curiosity driven, coming across some news related to Solana or other things launching cool dApps. And I wondered, like, there's no backend. How does all this stuff work? Like, how are people creating accounts and, interacting with the system, exchanging, producing value was like really amazing. Looking at how Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency price shot up, how are people trusting in this? Like that, all those questions kind of made me more curious, and then my development journey kind of started from there. Happy to get into much deeper side of that journey, but yeah, that's how it began.
Yeah. I feel like that's a lot. Jaja and Jorge, real quick, was it Bitcoin for you as well, or did you start to get interested in crypto later?
Yeah,
I'll go
Ethereum.
first. Oh, go ahead, Jaja. Sorry. Didn't mean
Oh,
to step on your shoes.
no, Ethereum was first for me.
Yeah, makes
2021.
sense. What about you,
Yeah,
Jorge?
same here. But I started as a miner in 2016. I was on the other side of the blockchain mining
Wait,
Ethereum.
mining what? ETH?
Yeah,
You still mining ETH?
no, not anymore. It got really expensive as far as my electricity bill,
Yeah,
so I
right?
stopped after a year. but it was at 400, so I made a good return on that.
Baby. Nice. Sai, if you weren't doing Web3, computers have been banished from the face of the earth, just on a personal level. What would you be doing? I'm kind of curious. What would be your next line of interest?
I would say probably to pursue something in the direction of sports, especially swimming. So I I had like a really strong habit growing up, going to pool for my practice every day, and I had a coach to train with there, and it was going great. And then I also had like a very strong other hobby, which is like coding and my computers and journey. I kind of like, naturally came out like, I'm a lot better with technology, and I can stay up late nights for stuff like this, so it kind of keeps me going. So if tech wasn't around, computers were like banished, I think I would, as a next step, would definitely pursue sports and swimming particularly.
Yeah, no, respect it tremendously. I would be at the club, but swimming is a nice second option. Um, let's talk about Protocol.land. So, can you kind of give us a brief explainer of like what is Protocol.land? What is it trying to do, and how did you kind of start that journey leading development of Protocol.land?
I would say Protocol is a tool that helps you preserve your code base permanently on Arweave. And it does it in a way that, you know, you're not just dragging and dropping your code bases into random void called Arweave and then storing your files there. It also gives you a nice UI so you can transform your code base as you keep working with it. So every commit you make to your code base, every push that you make is permanently stored on Arweave. And that is very powerful given other alternative options we have to use code collaboration tools. They are censorship resistant and restrictive in certain geographical regions. And, if you kind of like not very good reasons, if even if you end up violating one of those TOS that they operate with, then your repo can get disappeared and your account can get banned as well. So given those circumstances, Protocol.land serves a very unique use case here, like to preserve your code base, not just that, harder to take down, censorship resistant built in. And, if you don't want to contribute long term, if it's just a snapshot, that can be possible too. So uh, that's Protocol.land at its core, but it's meant to be more than that. It also meant to serve as a tool to raise some funding for your project in a very open and transparent manner. So you do that by utilizing fair launch system we have built into the platform, where you can tokenize your repository and it will launch a secondary market for you right within your repository, attach a token to your repository, and people can buy these tokens supporting the project. And once you reach your funding needs, uh, the token transitions to Bottega for public trading. And it's done in a fair launch way, like first come, first serve, no pre reservations by team made to token cap table. So whoever gets first gets to buy it for a low price, and the price starts climbing up as more people show interest. So kind of also helps with the demand and manages the token supply in that way.
Oh, so before Bottega, is like a bonding curve mechanism?
Yeah, this is a bonding curve mechanism, and then it transitions to Bottega, creating an LP there and moves the
Oh,
token there and burns the LP token, so it stays there.
I love that. I didn't know that about that you could do that on the right on the platform, right?
Yeah. And once your repository is tokenized, it's frozen. Like developer cannot change anything in it. The only way to accept more changes is by forking it. So when you fork a repository, it kind of creates a copy version of it, and then you will have an option to improve that project and also tokenize it. And then the parent project kind of ends up getting some sort of royalty for tokenizing a child project. So you kind of start building hierarchy for projects, how they are evolving, and then tokenizing them.
That is super cool. Now, how would you recommend developers use Protocol.land? Like, say you're getting going on a project, what would like be kind of the specific flow you would recommend? Should they like start messing around in GitHub first, then port stuff over to Protocol.land? Like, how would you recommend they go about it in a kind of a day-to-day fashion?
I would say most developers already own their GitHub accounts and they have like bunch of projects going on there. A very low friction way to do this is use Protocol.land's script, GitHub action script. Just hook it up in your existing repository and run it, and it immediately creates a snapshot on Arweave with all your files and ready for you to develop on Protocol.land. Like migrate your existing work. That's the first step. And if you're like starting a project from scratch, it can also be done from the platform directly. Just go there, use the UI to create a new repository. And there are CLI tools that lets you also push commits directly from your code editor, like VS Code. You install that CLI tool and then configure it to point to your Protocol.land repository and start committing your code, and it directly gets uploaded to Arweave and show up on Protocol.land.
And when we were talking before this interview, do I understand right? Protocol.land is now a literal protocol, right? Like the development work is sort of like been matured to the point where it just is just going to keep humming along in perpetuity. Is that right?
That's right. We hosted our front end on Arweave and attached to it with RNS. So you can like access the UI permanently right off from Arweave with a nice URL. And the contracts are on AO already deployed. So the project just needed these two parts. If we did not have this ability for Arweave to also serve static assets like web pages, then I would probably be hosting my UI on maybe Netlify or Vercel and still be around to maintain it, but with UI and also contract being on Arweave and AO, even if I happen to disappear tomorrow, the protocol can still keep living and go on. So that notion is like very, very powerful to me.
That's super cool. And if you're watching this out there and it's of interest to you, it's easy to remember the website, Protocol.land. Go check it out. Sai, so this is a community labs project, if I'm understanding correctly. Did you get involved in community labs through the builder program? Did I see that or no?
No, I got into community labs specifically to build Protocol.land from the start as
Mm-mm.
an engineer. Then I transitioned into a fellowship role to take Protocol.land forward. So that's how it went.
Super cool. And you're working on Wander right now. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, Wander Mobile. So Wander was already being developed and maintained by other engineers. I wanted to like help out on the mobile side, and I recently worked with LTO about this one issue with uploading assets to Bazaar. So on the mobile, it was failing. So I'm mostly there to help out on the mobile side and some internal toolings. The recent
Ca-
feature I shipped is AI agents on Wander Mobile.
Can we talk about bizarre Wander situation or not yet? Uh,
We
I lost
can.
track.
Why
Yeah,
not?
is it okay? Let's hear it. Like LTO
Yeah,
and Sai, what were you guys doing? What's cooking?
I'll just say it's a perfect time for me to jump in. And big shout out to Sai and the Wander team. For a very long time, it was not we were not able to create atomic assets and collection on mobile through Wander. So I see it as a big issue, especially if you're trying to onboard new members into Web3. It's so easy to give them the Wander app and they can start, just creating. So when I came to the team with the issues, I immediately jumped on it in a matter of few days, fixed the issue, and basically it was on the final part when you signed to upload. There was a small bug that had to be fixed. And yeah, it was fixed, and now anyone can download Wander, go to bazaar.ar.io or arweave.net, and start creating from their mobile device. So thank you for that.
Cool. But tell me about where is Wander going overall? It seems to be becoming almost like a one-stop shop for the Permaweb, right? They've got swaps in there. You've got agents now. I know pools are coming. That's sort of like I feel like almost the term wallet is almost outdated to some point. We need like a new word for whatever it is. Do you guys talk about that at all? Like what's sort of like the big picture vision for Wander moving forward?
I think again, there might be like different angles to this, but my opinion is Wonder is, setting its step into becoming a full-fledged infrastructure layer for everyone who wants to, participate in this ecosystem. Like, maybe it's just for uploading files, or maybe to building contracts and doing much more complex stuff. Wander acts like that entry point, that infra layer that everyone has to, go through, and it only makes sense if it is easy to use. So we are focused on how to solve these onboarding challenges and how to navigate the ecosystem in a, one-stop place fashion. Uh, so all these in mind, I think Wander is growing into multiple products, offering very strong infrastructure layer. At the same time, for the newcomers, it also has like easy way to, not go through hard steps, just configure agents in your wallet, and then you can automate, yield your earning in AO to maybe convert that automatically into stable coins or maybe liquid ops, or stuff like that. So it's part of like one bigger problem solve for easy onboarding, and then also expose discovery option, like give people an opportunity to find out what this ecosystem has to offer right from the go when they install Wander extension or interact with one of the products.
Yeah, I recently used Wander Connect. I was just playing around, implementing it into an app. Uh, that's pretty cool. That's like a huge upgrade because like say like pairing that with like the under 100 kilobyte, you know, uh, free upload to Arweave. Basically, you can create apps that essentially you can just sign in with your email and start uploading stuff for free without even getting any Arweave or anything, just to get started. Did you work on that at all, or what did you guys see or hear about when they were creating that? Did you have any insights there?
I did not work on Wander Connect project. It was other engineers, but I was around to watch the integration phase, and I personally did the integration of Wander Connect in the mining pools. So I did like the DX of using that SDK. It gives you ton of options to customize how it looks, how it feels. And at the same time, you have multi-language support. Like, let's say you're building it for an entirely different community and then want to have like regional language support, that's possible with that. And the biggest takeaway is like it's full self-custody wallet. Like, if you're familiar with Privy, a part of your private key, a shard of your key, stays on TEE environment. Privy says even they can't see what's inside it, but then it's always that fear, a part of, a sensitive information is outside your hands. But we don't have the same case with Wander Connect. So all the keys, we don't store any of them on any place, except you have full option to back up the keys, and you provide necessary components to reconstruct the key, and then Wander Connect will start working. So it's full custody as well.
Hey, I got a question, and the answer is probably going to be a whole lot, Drew. But what is sort of the difference in building like permanent first infrastructure that kind of lasts forever, for lack of a better word? Like I'm kind of curious what challenges you faced that were different in this sphere than maybe other positions you've had elsewhere.
I think permanent first infrastructure is like really cool to me because thinking in other terms, like let's see, if we look at Satoshi Nakamoto created like Bitcoin and disappeared, he kind of brought this network online and then, you know, doesn't need he wasn't needed to be around for it to keep going. Permanent first infrastructure kind of gives you that kind of power to put something out there and then build it in a way that you no longer need to be around for it to exist. If it's simple data, then that's very straightforward. But if you're building even some dApps like smart contracts and stuff, you can do that confidently, host your front end on Arweave, and then, even if you're not around for it, it can go on. If the repository is on Protocol.land, people can fork it and then evolve it even further. So there's also relation like how original repo started a project and then how it was evolved. So that's even cool to tie things together, how a project is evolving. So for me, coming from a web 2 background, I would say it was that perspective shift. Like in Web 2, we used to have rollbacks and ability to disappear evidence, but permanent first infrastructure kind of takes those bad actors, or at least that intention, away for good reason. And we think in terms of migrations and versions here. It's like applying a new change on top of previous ones. So there's like clear auditability of the changes that are happening in your infrastructure. And I think that's definitely a perspective shift coming from Web 2 background. And initially it was, I should admit, uh, it took me some time to wrap my head around, how this is going to be sustainable and everything when I was new in the ecosystem. As I read more about the entire architecture and the economic model of Arweave and everything, I'm like pretty confident, like, the stuff that's in Arweave, it's like here for a very, very long term. So really convinced there. And that's why I think permanence first infrastructure is one of a kind and unique model here.
Awesome,
Hey,
man.
Drew, if I may
Mm.
just
Yeah, yeah.
jump in to say, I think Sai is being very modest with what was built at Protocol.land. I remember when I came in working with Weavers, that's when I was introduced to Sai, and I was introduced to Protocol, and I was very impressed because before that, we had GitHub, you have your repositories, and like he said, things can be taken down. And Protocol.land kind of like flipped that on its head, and just being able to be in the open source community and have your work live on chain permanently, and later on have other developers look at it. Maybe if you tokenize it, like he said, you can have them kind of have an incentive to build on top of your work. I think that's unique, and it speaks on how important permanence is, and that's why we kind of evangelize it in this ecosystem. So, I've been very impressed with the work that he's done with that, and I would advise anyone to like check it out. Like you said, you can easily, port over all of your code onto Protocol.land. The UI is very similar to GitHub, and they have other key features, right? Like early on when we're doing hackathons, they added like this feature where you can add like your hackathon and bounties and the description, and I thought it was very helpful for anyone that needed like a very well structured platform for this. So he's very modest. I would suggest everyone to check it out, and start porting your work over. I mean, just having that layer of permanence and knowing that after you're gone, your work can live on. I think that's special. And as humans, we all know that we won't be here forever, but our work could be here forever thanks to what they're working on. Just wanted to add that little bit.
Why are you being so modest, Di? Just kidding.
I think, yeah, there's for a lot more value, I think permanent solutions can provide than we can actually ever describe it. And time is going to be the proof. Like long term, once we are like down 10 years, 20 years, we will all come to know like data is the building block, and RVV is here to solve like a very important problem, how to preserve it and, have it available for generations to come. So.
I'm kind of curious when you're talking about on the with your other coding friends. I'm sure you talk to some of your former coworkers or whatever, and you're like, "Hey, I'm working on this new platform that's tied into Arweave. It's called AO." What questions do they have for you? So you're describing AO, you're telling them what they're doing. What do they say? Like I'm kind of curious what like a peer would want to know about AO.
I recall this specific conversation from a colleague I had working in previous company. It was Web2 company, and then that person knew about other blockchain ecosystems like Solana and EVM, understood like high level things of it. And then, yeah, like you said, I was able to chat with him more about this new project I'm building and talk about, what we are using for smart contracting and stuff. And that's when I spoke about AO. He was surprised first, like looking at the infra. Now we are communicating with messages. We have actor-oriented systems like processes, sending messages to each other, processes kind of spawning more processes, and they can function autonomously. And, the thing that person told me is like it's having like a full compute layer available to you to do whatever you want. Like you could be hosting very complicated things like SQLite is supported within the contracting layer, and then AI agents, or you can do one example even interacted with Llama.land that's like solid proof for inferencing on chain, right? It's definitely brand new and cutting edge. I don't think, or at least fully on chain, I did not so far come across any other ecosystem being able to pull that off. So it kind of like surprised this friend so much that, you have so much flexibility to create whatever you need. And the modularity part of Hyperbeam, how you can extend devices and build your own functionality. That's like mind blowing, I think. So the reaction was positive, and definitely that's one reason I see why we are like building really great community here in India, because this conversation I was having like with my local friends here. So 100%, it was positive reaction there.
Shout out to the Arweave India crew. I did a live stream with them yesterday. I want to know their budget because they have manufacturing facilities. They got a beach house. I'm waiting for like the Arweave India private jet to land in the New York airport because I think that's what's next. Talk to me about your stack. Like what open source tools are like forgetting just I feel like if a developer's watching this and they're like, oh man, this guy's Sai, he's cooking stuff. What is your go-to like open source tools, things that like other developers might be interested in say, oh, I got to check those out.
Um, Code editor and my dev tooling wise, I recently started to use Cursor because someone recommended that to me and wanted to try out agentic features of it. Uh, so previously I was using VS Code, and the transition was like very easy because the theme kind of feels the same. So I did not find it much different. And the regular stack that most developers might already be familiar with is like using Git for your local versioning of your code base and all that. And yeah, for very interesting part, like I could be talking through a very long list of open source tools I use, and I bet that most developers might already know those. But one thing I want to highlight out of all that is something called Coolify. I came across this like couple months back, and this lets you host your own Vercel, basically. Let's say you have your own virtual server, and then you run one script and it kind of brings up entire Vercel-like thing running on your server, and you don't need to pay those expensive bills. You can manage like deployments and everything, automate them, tie them to your, whatever platform you're using, GitHub or something, to automate a lot of that stuff. So I think I'm very impressed with that because it gives me very flexible options to do a lot more and pay less while self-hosting it myself, being in control of my own infra, no downtimes from, let's say, one of the companies like Vercel or something. So I can be responsible for my things, reliability and everything. So this is one part. Another thing is Protocol.land. I want to mention this. It's open source, and the stack we use, it's also open source. So um, whenever I'm like writing something and I want this to be permanent, I push it to Protocol.land repository, um, and and have it there. At least if I need to move fast, and let's say if I'm running out of R tokens and I needed to get more, meanwhile, what I do is I go to GitHub, upload my repository, and enable syncing to Protocol.land, and that gives me like not having to be blocked by not having R tokens to pay for uploads, and then just circle back. Like when I get them, I'll enable the sync, and it'll be synced to Protocol.land eventually.
I'm not gonna lie, like the open source thing, I don't come from a technical background. I wasn't familiar with like sort of like the open source community and that ethos. And when I start to get acclimated with it, it surprised me because it's like you're putting all your stuff out there for free. Like what is I don't know, give me like the rallying cry, the open source way. Like stronger together? Is that sort of it? It just I'm so used, like I come from an investment banking background. Like if you ask any of the investment bankers to give them like their trading tips, they tell you to go kiss their butt. You know what I mean? And then here you have like the complete opposite mentality. I just find it very interesting. What appeals to you about it?
I think it's like the whole concept of building open source software is like super important because it's right now a foundation layer to many projects or products we use in our day-to-day life. Without open source software, I think for every company to build out their own stuff whenever they need is like very complicated things, not just building out, but then maintaining them throughout the time. Like, look at popular open source projects like Linux and other things have been around since 90s, late 90s and all that. So they've been being maintained over the time, and that's the hardest part, I think. And they are doing it out of goodness of their hearts, I think,
Mm,
because there's no clear incentive why you should
mm,
write public code, why you should give it away for free, where anyone can use your open source software and could be building customers and user base and all that, but they do it regardless because they did it for themselves. Honestly, if I have to say that, if I'm uh, in need of one particular technology that did not exist and I want to create it for myself and then tell the rest of the world that, hey, I ran into these issues and I made this for myself. And if you ever find yourself in similar spot, here is it. Like, use it. I don't want to make it commercial or, license it to you guys. So it was, I think, back in those 90s or earlier, people did not think that, what they're doing is going to be very crucial. They just want to build it for themselves and then put it out there and see
mm.
who else kind of like ended up using it. And it kind of grew into a community very quickly. And a lot of people showed like that interest to in that interest in saying that I use this particular open source project and I want to sponsor this. I'm making like revenue out of this project. I'm happy to support you guys to keep on doing your great work. So those projects kind of fund themselves or compensate for the time that they're spending through those sponsorships. And this is also another problem that we want to factor into Protocol.land, and a way for you to solve is like you could put bounties on issues and then otherwise. You could also raise through bonding curve mechanism. If this project is something you believe in, then you can buy its tokens once it goes live. Then you can definitely take some profit out of it if that goes well. Uh, so I think at core of it, it's like goodness of people that they did it for themselves and wanted to make it available for everyone to use.
Mm. No, well said. You also hit, I thought what you noted is how long, for example, Linux has been around. If you're interested in having your work endure by sharing it, like look at Linux. I was actually just reading the other day about how Windows 10 has been like bricked, and Windows 10 support is gone.
Yeah.
So if you're doing like private gated stuff, those come and go. But if you're really interested in your work, like enduring beyond you, look at Linux. Look at the other open source programs that have been going on for decades now.
I agree. I think that was very crucial to bring adoption as well into the ecosystem. Starting from the day when internet was new, if you have like paywalls to access some critical functionality or some technology on the internet, then that's like, people don't trust it enough to be willing to pay for stuff like that. So let's make it open source, and maybe a better version of it can be sold for, some value like money or something else. So that's another strategy I saw how open source sort of transition into having like one community edition, and then there's like another edition that provided like more value, like support or something like that.
Hmm. Hmm. Um, has there been any questions I haven't asked you that you think would be important to understand yourself, Protocol.land, Wander, or Community Labs, or AO and R? Anything at all? I always miss one thing.
I would say my exposure to blockchain technologies, Arweave is definitely not the second one or third one. There were like previous blockchains that I worked on, and um, I think I have a lot of things that I like about Arweave than other blockchain ecosystems. So this would be one, if you ask me.
It is. It is. It is. It is more like in the spirit of open source. Like I've worked at other blockchains that were not in
Right.
the spirit at all.
Because
Um,
the reason I bring this up is, I see a lot of newcomers into the ecosystem, and sometimes for most of them, Arweave is their first blockchain, and then they didn't get to see that evolution, like, trying out earlier blockchains and then feeling those pain points even with a few of those. And then Arweave has this like, for example, if I'm working on some NFT project, let's say on Solana or Ethereum, the go-to solution is IPFS. But then I was introduced to Arweave through one of those projects like Metaplex Candy Machine on Solana.
mm,
And the documentation mentioned like you could use either IPFS or Arweave. And then that's when this was back in 2020, I think. That's when I, tried it out and to put my metadata and images on Arweave. And I was like, okay, I don't need to have some subscription, pay monthly to store these assets and ever worry about, those broken images on
mm.
NFTs or something like that if they go down. So you just pay one-time fee and then it's there. So uh, stayed for permanence. That's the reason.
Yeah, no, 100%. I can't emphasize enough how sick of subscriptions I am. I was reviewing all of the ones I have across my entire life, and it's gotten out of hand. So it's like a breath of fresh air to find the one platform where permanent is actually permanent. Also, shout out to Jeff for correcting my pronunciation. It's Linux. Is that right, Jaja? Okay, I was
Wait,
thinking of Linus, the Peanuts character, I guess. So it's
I think
Linux.
it's like a European American thing. We pronounce
Oh,
it
is
one
it?
way, and they do. Yeah, because I grew up saying sorry, Linux, not Linux, but I've heard it before. To me, it's Linux.
You know what? It's
So
just a Vancouver thing. Yeah,
I
no,
think.
sorry. Permission denied, Jaja. Jeff or LTO, any questions before we wrap up? It's been a riveting conversation on my end.
Yeah, there's one that we had beforehand that is pretty cool. If you could fix one Web3 problem overnight, what would you pick?
Um, Good question.
Ooh,
That's a
ooh.
very short deadline.
You just put him on the spot. I saw that question too. I was like, oh, that's a tough
And you
one.
have
All
to
right,
fix it
here.
in one night. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, one night is definitely a very short deadline. But if it was that, I think one night can be used to, you can't build like protocols to fix something in Web3 or in like one night, but if I don't have to put myself in the box and think outside, then a very worth it problem to solve still remains like onboarding, discovering like creative ideas to bring in new people, because I think the technology we have is like really cool and it deserves to be heard by like everyone in the world. So focusing more on onboarding and coming up with creative ideas to introduce this cool tech with your peers or everyone else is definitely that. But then if it's technology, then I would say um, maybe payments layer or subscriptions layer, utilizing existing infra like USDA or something. That would be very cool. Um, so yeah, still not seeing how that can happen overnight, but yeah, that's definitely interesting to me.
No, you can figure it out. You get a Red Bull, you just pull an all-nighter.
Yeah,
I believe in you, son.
yeah,
Um,
hackathon, I guess.
yeah, hackathon. Yeah, it's simple. Oh wait, I do have one last question. What's the name of your cat in the background? Who's
Her
chilling?
name is
Just
Echo.
Very
straight
active
chilling.
cats.
What's his name? What's his name?
Echo.
Yo, what's up? I want your life. Can I swap with your life right now? You look extraordinarily comfortable. Dude, Sai, it's been a pleasure. Super appreciative of you joining the space, talking through all of your cool, exciting work. Again, people, Wander Wallet and then also Protocol.land. Go check them out. Sai, we got to have you back on soon, man.
Absolutely enjoyed chatting with you all and yeah, discussing these things.
All right, folks, we'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Take care.
Hey, guys, bye.